Welcome to Chronic Curiosity, where we have real conversations with real people, from everything to anything, in attempts to facilitate dialogue with our fellow humans, and hopefully your curiosity as well as ours. If you can withstand the show, we ask, most importantly, that you tell your friends and family, but also you can pick up some merch or just donate to the show at chronic-curiosity.com in USD or Bitcoin. If you feel so obliged, you can give us a good rating and follow on whatever podcast platform you so choose. But please feel free to reach out to us on the website or the socials, which can also be found on the website, chronic-curiosity.com. And here we go. There was just no reason to, I wasn't sure how I was going to feel whatsoever because I got I got the Ronas. That's really loud. Is it really loud is it just loud in my ears?
Oh.
Are you good? There we go. Are you solid?
Yeah, I'm good.
Okay.
I got to answer this real quick. Just 1 second.
It was funny. Chad we talked about that ASMR.
Yeah.
Just out of the blue. And I was like, we actually just talked about that. He gave a really creepy bourbon ASMR. I was like, that's probably the creepiest thing that's ever happened on this show. It's like, oh, thanks.
That's not surprising.
Yeah, not surprising at all. Yeah. And it's Chad. What are you going to do? While we're waiting, if you could look up and see if you can find any information on how they do barrels of bourbon and if they take large batches of all the ingredients and then put them into multiple, how many loads of, or how many different barrels will be in one batch of something. Because Chad and I were talking about that. I don't know if you were down here yet, Cass, when I was telling Tony that Chad and I were talking about the 2 bottles of Woodinville he got me, were 5, because they're single barrel picks, store picks, but they have the barrel number written on them, and they're 5 barrels apart, and they taste completely different. So it was and he couldn't believe me. He's like, "There's no way." He's like, "There's no way that those are only those are the same thing. They're just the difference was once they mixed everything together." And which one are you doing? The old? Yeah, do the Old Soul first.
Oh, what's the name of the other one?
I don't know. I think it's He kept calling it brandy wine, but why did they use a J?
So that's a different language for brandy, I think. So it's it must be a sweet taste.
Okay.
I don't know if that's German or I don't know what that is.
No, it's not German.
No,
at least I don't think so, because I know a little bit of German, but that doesn't. Brandvinge? No, because they don't really use J's or Y's.
Okay. Let me see it again.
German. So J's or Y's in German, that wouldn't make sense. And W's or V's.
I do think it means brandy though. Yeah, it says brandy when you type that in.
It's Swedish.
Maybe.
That sounds like a Swedish thing to do. Slap a random J.
Dutch.
Oh, okay. I guess so. That's kind of close to German, but yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah.
What's Swedish is somewhat kind of tied. Is that's not? I feel like that's not anything close to German language. I don't know. There's so many different languages over there.
Yeah.
It's fascinating. It's frightening though. I'd be afraid of getting in a bad situation and no one knowing what the damn thing I was saying. I mean,
what did he just tell me?
Yeah, most people I feel know English, but that makes me feel really shitty. If I had to travel all through Europe and all the places, Asia and Africa, and I'm just over here speaking English because I don't know any damn better. It's I feel like such an asshat.
Every time I hear the word Asia and someone says it like that, it reminds me of
what?
Just Asia.
Asia?
China. Celebrity Jeopardy.
Yeah.
And he's name this continent. Asia. He's like, what is the answer? They say other shit that's not.
Well, that was one of my favorite was write any word. or it was like write
Oh,
any
yeah,
word
yeah.
like that. And Sean Connery wrote 3. They wrote the letter 3. Like, that's a number, not a letter. He said something about, what was it? I'm sure he referred it back to fucking his mother.
Probably.
Yeah. That's funny. I'm gonna redo this again so I can try them again.
That's pretty tasty.
Yeah, it's good, but then it's completely different than, I don't know. Well, we had it fresh, so
Yeah, I was gonna say you give them a couple of weeks open, and they can definitely.
yeah. So I'm
change
interested to see
flavor.
I'm interested to see the differences now.
So that's Old Soul. Well, this
Yeah,
is
this
Old
one's-
Soul here too.
Old Soul. Oh, which one?
This one.
Soul for a Soul. Oh wow.
So I cracked that one before. It's a high rye Old Soul. And I wasn't overly impressed with it, but it was a pick. So
Old Soul.
they do like little gimmicky stickers and
Yeah.
pictures and
Like my rooster one you got me.
yeah, the woodpecker,
The woodpecker one. Yeah. I feel like I just saw some of this Old Soul.
It's becoming more
somewhere.
popular. There's a bunch of different bourbon brands that are just out there.
Yeah. That'd be interesting. Well, yeah. So I had to cut. What's that? What's wrong?
I don't know what I'm looking at.
You can't. It's fine. You don't
okay.
have to. But it was just, well, when you try the second one, I'm interested to hear what you have to say about it. But yeah, long story short, had to change the guest up today just in case I wasn't feeling
Fully recovered from the bid.
Yeah.
From the Omicron.
Yeah. I didn't officially test myself positive, but someone that I know very, very close to me that had symptoms at the exact, literally hours apart, she tested positive twice. So I knew I had it. It wasn't terrible though.
Yeah.
No, what was it? It was Monday. I think Monday I started feeling a little, whatever. And then Tuesday, I felt like I had a cold coming on. Wednesday sucked. And Thursday was kind of like a meh.
Did you have like bad body aches or was it?
No, it was weird. So it was just.
Because you were sick pretty recently prior to that.
And I had some similar symptoms to then as well.
That's so weird.
Super weird. And they're both times, because that was before Christmas. And I haven't been sick in sick for like 4 or 5 years. I can't remember last time I was sick. And then I think we talked about, but it felt like my trachea was on fire last time.
I remember you saying that.
Yeah, and that was super weird. And it was just like headaches and real low grade fever. And that was basically it, just fatigue and no nausea, no vomiting, no real there's a word I'm looking for. I'm losing it.
Expectorant?
Expectorant. I don't know, nothing coming out of my face, as far as mucus goes. And it was I had a little bit of congestion and headaches. And
no purulent drainage.
Yeah, I don't know what that means, but it sounds about right.
The gunk.
Yeah.
The junk.
Yeah, and then this time it was I was fatigued. I didn't have any real fever at all. I had the worst thing was I just was tired and my head felt like there was almost not all the way around, but right your eyeballs and right in the top of your head is just
not so much here or here.
Yeah, right in this area. Nope, you're good.
I remember.
Yeah, but that was it.
Well, that's good. I remember our professors going through symptomology and describing different things, and he said if something was pussy, and then he was like, can you guys spell that for me? We're like, I see what you're doing there.
I see what you're doing there. Oh, that is good. That's better than it was last time. It was real hot last time.
I was say, sometimes when you crack those, they're real upfront ethanol. No, that's honestly that Omicron thing, probably one of the better things that could happen if we were going to get different variants of it. So
yeah,
think about if we're going to build up people's immunity, and this thing is going to be, we don't, fortunately, more transmissible, but less deadly or pathogenic, right. So it's almost kind of like a vaccine that worked. I'm just joking. I'm obviously not saying that the vaccine didn't help some people and isn't helping some people, but
yeah, I think it's just it's the joke of what are we saying that it does?
Oh yeah,
yeah. Let's be clear on that
for sure.
and remember what they said it did. It was supposed to do.
Yeah. The good thing is I mean, there may be some people have died from it. I don't know the latest statistics, but
I don't know.
Not a lot of people. If people were dying, not a lot of people were dying. People seem to be recovering faster.
Mm-hmm.
But it did spread like wildfire.
Yeah, I mean, I knew this cycle was definitely the first time that I've known a bunch of people that like, yeah, that like, because you always hear these anecdotal stories.
True.
Right? And you want to, at least I want to simultaneously believe them and not. Because it's like, you want to believe people, you want to believe their stories, but at the same time, you're like, oof, I've seen enough lies in the last 2 years to like last a lifetime. So like, do I believe you? Probably not. I don't know.
What if predictions, the next variant, what do you think they're going to name it?
No, there's no way. What's the next?
Falchicron?
Is that Falchicron? What's the next one in the alphabet?
Oh,
do you know? Is it their name? Is the Greek alphabet they're naming them after?
Alpha,
because they skip
beta, delta.
Because they skip G. No, it's not Greek because it's not in like it's a weird order. What is it that they're using? Is it the Greek alphabet?
I don't know, Cassie.
Because G was supposed to come before Omicron or whatever that one was.
The OG.
Yeah, and they were like, "Well, we're skipping XI," because we don't want to be racist because it just happens like like what
gosh,
is that
awesome.
what it is? I don't know. Didn't you?
No, I didn't. I
that?
missed that. I didn't.
Oh
see
yeah,
that.
no. The next one, I forget which one it was. It was supposed to be called. It might have been Omicron. And the next word that they would have used, like had they gone in the order, it would have been XI, or however you pronounce it in Greek or whatever it is. And they're like, yeah, like we're skipping that because we don't want to negatively like connect it with Xi Jinping, leader of China. I was like, okay,
that makes me smile.
Yeah, I was like, whatever. I guess. Sure, why not? I don't know.
It is the Greek letters.
So what's next, guys?
Greek letters. I got you. After Omicron. There's some kind of other variant out now. They're calling it. They're saying it's a stealth COVID.
Stealth Omicron.
Not only do you need a test to figure out a disease that you don't have symptoms for.
It's so ridiculous.
They don't even know if you're going to be able to test for it anymore because it's going to elude the tests.
So you don't test positive. You don't have symptoms, but you could possibly have it.
Still have it.
Get the vaccine.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. I did. Yeah. No, I will say though, in all seriousness, we still hear like older people and people with issues. Like I could see how very, very easily I could see how this could knock people out of the metaphorical race easily. Because I was talking about the other day, like, so I basically just sat around. I worked, office computer stuff or whatever, but like I basically just sat there for like 2 or 3 days. Like, all right, let's do what we can to heal up. And then like you're just fatigued, so you don't want to do anything.
Yeah.
But like like even if you have a good day and you feel good, and you just sit around and watch TV all day, at the end of the day you're like, fuck, I'm tired. I feel gross. It's because you haven't done anything. So it's like you have to have this weird balance of not doing much so your body can rest and heal, but also like you need to move to get the blood flowing. But then if you do too much, like you overexhaust yourself. So you figure these people sitting around, they'd never did anything in their lives before. And then they get sick and they're going to have, a week.
Yeah.
And then after that, they're like, I can't do anything. I had the Rona.
Do you supplement with vitamin D?
I did. So I did that's what people were like, are you taking the kitchen sink, all this stuff? And I'm like, because full disclosure, I am completely unvaccinated. I just never, obviously, if you haven't picked that up. But I was just doing vitamin D, zinc, quercetin, multivitamin, and vitamin C.
Yeah.
And I didn't even take, because there's a couple times I probably could have taken like Dayquil or
sure
something like that but I was like, you know what? Like, this is like a little science experiment. Because now I know for sure, basically, 99% sure that I have it. Like, I want to see what this is like.
Yeah.
Without and it wasn't like I was trying to be like a badass. Like, It sucked, but it wasn't anything crazy. Like I've been a lot sicker, a lot worse.
I don't throw the kitchen sink at this variant anymore. Like most people are just like, hey, I have some body aches or I have like a sore throat.
Yeah.
So I'm definitely not doing anything similar at all to what I was doing for the Delta.
Right. There's no reason to.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? If it's just a cold and you can get through it, like, all right, let's get through it. It sucks, but
It goes back to that risk stratification that I was
Yeah.
talking about. So it's like, well, people aren't, they're not really getting pneumonia. They're not having the deep respiratory issues. So why would we subject you to these?
right. Yeah.
At that point, the risk may outweigh the benefit. So
Yeah. So that's what I did. Just vitamins, and I was like 1.5 gallons of water a day.
yeah,
That's the hard thing too. You also have to eat.
Yep.
Eating that much, if you're drinking that much, you have to put, and that's hard too. It's a little difficult to eat when you're just not doing anything and don't want to do anything. What do you think of that one?
we get like 2 more tastes. It was just a tiny one.
Last time it was a little. It was maybe, I don't know if it's sweeter, but it was a lot. I think it was a little smoother for me. I don't know what it'd be like this time, but
It's pretty similar. I mean, it might be. Yeah, I do get kind of like a little bit of a sweetness to it.
which would,
Like it's something richer.
yeah, it's a little fuller.
Yeah. I was gonna say maybe not sweeter, but richer.
Yeah, there's a little more flavor to it.
So it's saying that there are 9 letters after Omicron, including pi, which they haven't used because it sounds just like
That would be awesome.
pi. They also skipped.
Where does pi land in the?
Goes good with
Can you? They said there's 9.
Cool
How many
Whip.
letters?
I don't- like multiple have been skipped. Like
I don't know why.
NU because it sounds too much like new.
Oh,
And
yeah. They didn't want to
XI
let us know
was
they're actually
also
creating a new
skipped.
variant.
Yeah, XI was obviously skipped, being speculated for what you said about the
Yeah, I don't know why.
leader of China. So, I mean, but if you look at the Greek alphabet, like many of them were skipped. Right.
Is there an order that they put them in? Like, do the Greeks put them in order? I don't know.
Delta
That's
is the 4th one. Like there's alpha, beta, gamma, and then delta, and then there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8.
'Cause I remember gamma, and there's a
Then
really
there's
funny
like
one.
10
in there, too.
more before you get to Omicron. There's
What
like
was,
the lambda.
Oh, lambda. I remember that one.
Zeta, kappa.
I don't
So-
remember zeta.
There's sigma. There's pi.
Sigma. I remember that one. But I remember the lambda because I was like lambda.
Sounds
Yeah.
like fraternities and
Yeah.
sororities right now.
basically.
So I'm trying to look to see if they are predicting what the next one would be
Pie.
called, but I
wanna
don't
get that
see
one. That
it.
one's fun.
Well,
I'm
epsilon.
gonna get COVID pie.
I had
Or
COVID.
what they call it, the Delta Cross. That one.
I don't want none of it
The
anymore.
Deltacron.
I'm
Delta-
done. I don't want any more of it. Pie or
No.
not.
No, I don't. No, that's the thing. I guess that's. I don't want it. Like it sucks. Being sick sucks regardless. And it is a weird thing that it's so different for everybody. It could be a 1-day thing that someone, it didn't really put me down for probably 2 days. It's like, all right, I don't really feel like doing much of anything.
Yeah.
But I mean, I've had a cold that did that before, and the flu. Hell, I've been down with the flu for days.
Oh yeah.
Like inoperable, like not even functioning. So, and kid didn't nothing.
Yeah.
We both had it, absolutely nothing. So, like, did she have it before? Did she have it and just like not care? Like, yeah. But then old, elderly like people, it just completely flattens them.
Let's say there was a gentleman that contacted me, and he's a bigger guy. I mean, he's got some weight to lose, and I think he's been losing weight, but he was like, hey, what should I take? And I'm like, well, do you have it? And he's like, no. He said, but everyone I was around has it. And something he does just every day is he uses a neti pot, and it was prior to this. So I wondered if that mechanical flushing was actually really helping, because he's like, I don't know why I didn't get it. He's like, I'm around these people all the time, and everyone got it. And he's like, it's not like I'm supplementing with anything special. And I told him about the varicidal nasal washes and gargling, and he's like, oh, I actually already neti pot. He's like, I've been doing that for years.
I was gonna say, I feel like that was a thing somewhere. Like if you could have a basis of like that cleaning out.
Yeah. Yeah. So I think it's that mechanical aspect, and then they'll add like some iodine or there's something else, or even a super dilute amount of bleach, which I'm not saying to do that.
Yeah. Iodine would be. How do you do that? Because iodine like stains everything. I feel like.
Oh, it doesn't when you mix it with that dilute. So if you put a couple drops in there,
it does the job.
Yeah, you're good to go. You don't want to put too much in there, or you'll singe the old nose hairs.
You look like some weirdo with this brown stuff all over your face for.
Yeah, but I think it's that combination of that kind of mechanical cleansing, as well as the virucidal activity from the iodine that's going to help get that viral load.
I mean, it makes
out.
sense.
Yeah,
that's what your nose hairs are for, right?
Mm-hmm.
So if you
stopping debris and
right, so if you clean them out when the debris gets in there, that makes sense. Mm.
So honestly, in my opinion, that's probably one of the best ways to kind of prevent it. When people are always like, "Well, how do I prevent it from spreading it or contracting it?" Like doing the nasal washes.
Right. So doing all the things you can do to prevent the.
Yeah. But I think you need to make sure that you do things in a sanitary and clean manner, though.
Right.
And I don't know how common that is, and you can look that up. But you hear about people sometimes doing the neti pot stuff, and on like a super rare instances, and maybe it's a wives' tale, they won't use like a distilled water or something, and they'll get some bad water in there, and then they'll get like I think there was an article about a brain amoeba, which could be fake. That might be a wives' tale. Maybe that was a neti pot competitor or something.
Because if you're just ingesting, if you're just drinking the water, your stomach is probably going to take care of it. But if you're putting it directly up your nasal I don't know. It does sound like a wives' tale that you just don't know.
All right. See if there's any validity to that.
Yeah. Brain eating amoeba from.
But I mean, it's also like a hypersaline solution. So that comes with those packets, and they have that. I think it's like a sodium chloride mix or something, or calcium chloride mix, or sodium, calcium, probably sodium. Like you'd think in that like hypersaline solution, not a lot of things are going to thrive.
Right, for sure. And I wonder if that would be the broad scale like healthiness on doing that, like the frequency. Because at the same time, like we joked about before, like sometimes you got to eat some dirt.
You're saying like the balance of
like I wonder how much is too much of doing that. Being too, because you end up like almost like too sterile.
Yeah, I don't know if that's a thing, and I don't like the gut biome with the balance that you need for there. I don't know if there's a nasal one. I don't know if there's any good nasal bacteria.
Yeah, maybe that. And I'm also talking about.
Cassie's eyes got big.
I'm also talking about like providing your immune system something to do.
Oh, I got you.
You know what I mean? So it keeps that kind of like how we talked about like during COVID, everyone's locked down for a year.
Sure.
If no one goes anywhere, no one does anything, then you go out and all of a sudden
you get sick, just boom, boom.
Yeah,
boom.
Because you have all these things you haven't had to contend with. What you got over there?
You can get brain-eating amoeba from using a neti pot.
There you go. I thought we broke it. There you go, Mythbusters. So
but you can use it safely to avoid getting a brain-eating amoeba. You basically like boil the water and stuff.
Oh, so like using distilled water, use some water that's been purified.
Yeah. So I guess this lady, she was 69. She had breast cancer. She had sinus issues. She was prescribed Bactrim. It wasn't helping. So one of her doctors recommended the nasal lavage with a neti pot, but instead of using saline water or boiled water as recommended, she used tap water from a Brita filter for 1 month. At the end of the month, she noticed a quarter-size rash on the right side of her nose. One of her doctors diagnosed her with rosacea. The rash was persistent.
Listen to the experts.
At the 1-year mark of the neti pot, she suffered from a left-sided seizure.
Oh, dang.
CT scan was performed, and it showed a lesion on the motor cortex of her brain. Yeah, so she has a lot. Because of a history of breast cancer, the most likely diagnosis was that it metastasized. But when she went in for the OR, biopsy was performed, and instead of METs, she was positive for
amoeba.
I don't know how to pronounce that, but it was a type of amoeba.
Yeah. I guess that's good news, right?
It caused encephalitis.
I mean, as long as it didn't do irreparable damage. Imagine that though, like
lesion on your.
talk about Talk about Occam's razor or Occam's razor.
Oh, she died.
Oh, well, yeah, I guess that wasn't a good thing then. I stand corrected.
It says there are only 200 cases known worldwide, and it's almost always deadly. So that must have been that specific one that she had.
Ooh, that's not good.
Anyways, continue.
So boil water or use some sterilized distilled water.
That's wild.
Hmm.
The brain eating anything. That's just
that's usually not good news.
That's usually, it's just so wild.
Oh. Be interesting, though. There's people in our administration that I don't even know if they would be affected by a brain-eating amoeba because you have to have a brain first.
Not sure of the density of the brain to begin with. There's a lot of that. I've been having that conversation with a lot more frequently, and I think
the density of the brain.
Well, kind of.
I was going to say you've been watching Hannibal. Or what are you talking about?
But I had someone that I've been talking to is like just real. I'm gonna have a hard time with words. I'm gonna try. I'll have to keep them basic today. I am still a little foggy. Not like foggy necessarily, but just like, okay.
Bro, you got a brain amoeba?
No, I don't know. Maybe the new Rona, the pie Rona got me. But just like they are in that stage of like seeing everything happening and being like, oh my God, like, it's like, well, hold on. Like, not everyone is out there. Like, not everyone's part of the deep state. Not everyone's like part of the Illuminati. Like, do I think there's people out there that have some nefarious intentions? Sure. But really, I going all the way, our first conversation with Jason Sheftel, like, I remember like walking out of that and going like, man, does he really think that people are just maybe? And that just kind of hung with me. And then I've really seen it to like, there's a lot of people around the world that just aren't smart. And they just don't have the they're intellectually limited. Now they just can't climb up as high on the ladder. And then when you have a bunch of people, just a bunch of fucking monkeys, just running around trying to run the governments, like, that's what we are in a sense. When you really zoom out and you look at it all, it's like, oh, some people are just they're just still running off of instinct. Instead of like, hold on, let me stop, let me look at the situation, let me think about it, let me take all of the facts and the information and anecdotal and objective and subjective evidence I have, let's put it all together, and let's try to look at this from all of it from an objective view.
Some of those people are an absolute blast to hang out with, but you probably don't want them running the country.
Right. Right. Yeah, yeah. I don't know. I think that's most of us, though.
Just run on instinct?
I think we run on, maybe that's what, I think a lot of us run more on instinct than we think we do. I think a lot of people are like, I'm out there, making my own decisions and I'm thinking all these things, but half the time people don't even realize what they're doing at all.
Health and I kind of had a conversation like that yesterday about free will and predestination. And he seemed to lean more towards the camp that we don't really control much.
Yeah,
that things are just going to happen how they happen.
In like macro or micro, or over like all.
So I think macro.
I think macro, I would tend to agree with him. Like, we don't have a whole lot of individual control over what happens in the world.
Yeah.
Micro, though.
I don't know. We'd have to ask him on that one. I do want to get him on sometime because he's a conversationalist and he enjoys not arguing, but
yeah, I think arguing at its true sense is fun.
Well, he enjoys polite,
you know what I mean?
like for fun,
like actual presenting
sure.
arguments, not like screaming at each other and
not
that like the actual definition of like creating an argument.
It's not like that.
Yeah, like almost like how like legal arguments,
sure.
legal like here's my quote unquote facts, or here's my evidence and presentation. And
oh man, those things still exist these days. Facts.
Well,
yeah.
They exist. Whether or not we discuss them, or they're probably their existence in our daily lives is concerned. I don't know, but
so I don't know how much you know about the trucking thing going on. I don't know a lot about that, so I was going to
I
ask
don't
you,
know a lot about it either. I've seen enough of it where I'm like, man, like I should
pay attention.
figure out
yeah.
exactly what's all going on.
I mean, it seems like it's kind of a big deal. What I mean, do you
yeah,
know
you
the?
think you'd see it on the news or something?
Yeah.
I hear a lot of people talking about it, and I don't know anything about it. So I mean, I feel like you really got to dig into it.
Was it something with? So obviously it had to be with the truckers.
Yeah.
And was it something with Trudeau where he wanted the truckers to get vaccinated, and they said, "Hey, we're not around people,"
Right.
And then they said, "Yeah, we're not doing that."
I think that's the long and short of it. Is
And they
were
couldn't cross the border or something.
Yeah,
if they
it was
didn't
like
have the vaccine.
I think that's what it was. Is the government was trying to put a mandate to you had to be vaccinated in order to cross borders, and obviously truckers cross a lot of borders, and they're like, why? Like what? What do we do? Like why?
I saw a meme and it said, it had a prostitute looking woman going up to a truck, and it said, you put this lot lizard in your body, but you're afraid of a vaccine. It's like, ooh.
Yeah, it's a little different. Yeah, it's like, well, do I want a lot lizard or do I want Bill Gates in my body? I don't know. Or Fauci. I don't know.
No.
I'm not sure which one I'd touch first or not. I don't want to get close to any of them. Is it any better? No.
No, that's not real good.
I felt it was real cold too.
Warmed up a little bit, but
yeah, that's a bummer.
Yeah, that's not one you're gonna write home about.
Mm.
What are you finding there, Cass? Anything interesting? No.
Yeah, I think that was just I think a part of it too is they were driving from point A to whatever. Actually, I just saw they announced a new one in America. They're going to do from New York to San Francisco or LA, maybe something like that. They're going to drive across the country.
Cannonball Run.
Yeah,
I do think that they for the convoy in Canada, I think they broke the world record for longest convoy.
Oh,
How many people were
good
they
for
up
them.
to? Like over 100,000? It was like 50,000. I
That's
saw
awesome.
Elon tweet.
Yeah, I've seen a lot of people coming out, and then people are like, "Ah, man, it's like maybe I don't know." People just get so upset by people just speaking their minds. It's amazing. Well, I don't. That's where I question is. All right, are these people? Because you see a lot of like pushback from. You've seen a lot of on Joe Rogan recently.
Yeah, which is, I mean, I guess I'm kind of wondering, they want to cancel them or whatever,
Yeah.
or they want to, censor misinformation. Like, has anyone actually cited the misinformation that they're saying is coming out?
It's misinformation.
But what is it? Is what I'm asking.
It's misinformation,
But
Tony.
what is it? Is
Right.
what I'm asking.
It's
Because maybe
it. It's misinformation. Tony.
maybe if you
It's
can't
killing
define
people?
what the
Tony.
misinformation is, maybe it's not misinformation.
Misinformation is information that misses the truth.
Yeah, maybe it misses the mark of that human's brain and they're just a dumbass. I just want to know what it is. And I'm not
It's
saying
misinformation.
I'm not saying
Tony.
that there's never any misinformation there, but think about what he does. Like, he's an entertainer. He
Yeah.
never claims to be an expert in anything. Honestly, he's pretty self-deprecating, but that's why he brings on people that are experts.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying that the experts can't be wrong, but I've watched plenty of those things, and even those guys that are experts in their field say, "Hey, we don't know everything. Things are constantly changing, and even the things that we are experts in are constantly changing. This is the information we have at the time. This is what we're seeing. These are based on these studies that are published, that are peer reviewed, that are gone through, and this is the information that they're quoting, but somehow there's misinformation." So I guess that leads me to the next question. Like, if that's wrong, then is all the information that was peer reviewed that we ever thought, does that need to be reevaluated? Or is it only because this pertains to COVID?
Yeah. I think it should all be constantly being reevaluated. Everything.
But at what point do you know that it's right and wrong then? By people's definitions of misinformation.
Yeah, but so this is I don't like to live in a world of definites or absolutes.
I mean, I don't either.
know
But
what I mean?
it is constantly changing. But you have to
So
when you're dealing with medicine and you're
Right.
dealing with people's lives, you have to have enough confidence leaning to a certain extent
Right.
that you go, well, this is what we believe. this is what things are showing. It doesn't mean it can't change, but we're not putting people at grave danger or grave risk.
Right. So I think the problem I have, and I think the biggest issue I see with like all this pushback on getting rid of misinformation and censoring and different things along, in that nature is if you aren't allowing people to be wrong, then they're going to self-restrain so much that there's never any progress made. So because if you have to be right every single time you say something, like proved in whatever realm,
which is no one's
which is no
infallible.
one, right? So like how we have to be able to talk about these things, and you have to allow people to be wrong, and then when they're wrong, if you can sufficiently prove that they were wrong or at least close to it, and then give them the chance of going, I see what you mean, or no, this is why, or yeah, I was way off. You know what? Let me look at more information. But without ever addressing being able to have the two opposing things, that just means one thing is always right, whatever that's supposed to mean, if there's nothing that ever opposes it. So, I mean, like, you should always question everything. And it's just like, think about it I look at science like a crime, an old, like, cold case crime. All right, well, we could solve crimes today that they could never solve 50 years ago because of the technology we have. So back then it was, well, this is our evidence. Well, this is what it is. This is guilty, innocent, whatever, because of this evidence. Well, now we have the capabilities of further investigating and breaking that evidence down to finding new evidence within that evidence to maybe completely turn around a criminal case. And how many times does that happen? Like a lot more than we should feel comfortable with, probably.
Sure.
So like at the same time, so it's like whatever it be, COVID or medicine, or like, are we still bleeding people with leeches because their blood's bad if they got some demon in them? No. Like, are we drowning witches to see if they float? Because if they float, they're a witch. If they drown, well, oops.
Dude,
like, you know what I mean? So like we should that's what I mean on the grand scale of the picture is we have to go with our best guesstimation that we have and when we have the most evidence with, but still like let's constantly question it because we might be completely off and just not know it.
Yeah, and I'm fine with that too, but it's just if you're going to say misinformation, well, tell me what the misinformation is
right.
and
you have
why
to be able
you
to prove
think it's
it.
Wrong. Yeah. Sorry, dude. When we were talking about Rogan and then you said demon, it just it reminded me of that stand up he did about the Kardashians.
I don't know if I haven't seen that. I haven't watched. I haven't really watched a lot of his stand up or any of it really.
He does this demon voice about why Bruce lived with the Kardashians and there was no hope left for him and why he became a woman.
Oh, jeez.
It's hilarious. It's hilarious. But no, I just, that whole misinformation thing, like, okay, cool, claim it. That's fine. But tell me what it is and tell me why.
Specifically.
Yeah. And they have people that claim that have the platforms. I mean, it seems to be a lot of them, and not all of them, but it seems like they're the more liberal or the more woke, if you will. And they have plenty of platforms too.
Yeah. Well, that's the problem because I've read a lot of articles like when I stopped doing it now, but I've seen a lot of like I said, I follow everybody from everywhere. So like, all right.
Gets a little bit better as it warms up.
That's good. I read some of the articles and see the headline. I'm like, well, even if I knew what happened, like, all right, let me read what they say about it.
Sure.
Especially those are the ones that I really enjoy doing is if I am, I don't want to say highly educated, but highly knowledgeable about a certain event and controversial reporting gets done on it. And it's one of those things because that happened a lot during 2021 where I was following a lot of freelance journalists and they were just posting videos of different events and different things. And when you can see somebody talk about an event that you watched the video footage for and saw it develop like as it was, as close as you can as it was happening, besides being on the ground. And then you see how they wrote about it. It's like, okay, I can see what kind of angle they're coming from. I can see what they're saying, what they're emphasizing and what they're leaving out. And that is what tells you why they wrote what they wrote. You know what I mean? And so like I saw so much of that. Like now seeing this stuff with like all these headlines with Rogan or whoever it is, it's very easy to kind of see through the, oh, this is a clickbait headline. And then when you actually get into the contents of it, there's no details. It's just misinformation this and misinformation that, and this is killing people. And well, what is? What's killing people? Who? Where? Please give me the details.
Yeah.
But there is none, so they can't give any.
Well, and that's my argument.
Yeah.
It's just
But people will hear it.
Yeah. And they'll
see it.
And they never watched an episode of that, or they didn't do the research themselves, or they didn't actually listen to the podcast and actually hear what was said.
Yeah.
But they try and say, hey, bye-bye.
Yeah.
Rock and roll will never die. Oh, but it did, Neil.
But it did. The Southern man don't need you around anyway.
So the Truckers' Freedom Convoy stretched 45 miles.
Jeez.
Holy smokes.
Before that, the largest convoy was just shy of 5 miles. So they smashed it by 40.4 miles.
That was probably a Trump rally.
I was going to say.
No, it was in Egypt.
Oh.
Actually.
I thought it might have been Putin going down to Ukraine. Too soon? I saw a video of, I didn't dig too much into it because I saw it when I was sick, and it was just for a half a second. I was like, I can't do this right now. I think, supposedly, allegedly, it was the president of Ukraine, or whatever they call him. He was recorded in a press conference or something, basically saying that looked like Biden and his administration are really blowing this thing up.
Yeah.
And it's making things more unstable here. I don't think anybody knows what's going on more than me, the leader of this country.
And
he's like, part of like the biggest problem we're having right now is not Russia. It's what you're saying about us and Russia right now.
I could totally see that.
Yeah. And I was like, man, I'm going to have to remember to look into that. Cause what? Cause we keep being told Russia could invade Ukraine any day now.
Yeah.
And they have 100,000 troops out there. That is slightly nerve-wracking for an American citizen. May I say, fear-inducing.
Yeah. I mean,
and then you have the president of Ukraine going, it's not that bad.
What better way to divert attention from your shitty ratings?
Yeah, than another war.
Yeah.
That we want to try to get into for reasons unbeknownst to me. I don't get it.
You got something, Cass?
Yeah, so he was quoted saying, he was told Biden not to panic about war. I know the details better than any other president. He said,
and they said,
let's go, Brandon. I doubt it, but that would
he
be
said
funny.
things are under control.
Why aren't we hearing this?
He said he does not expect a war, sees no major escalation from what Russia has been doing for years, said there are no, in quote, tanks on the streets, and President Biden should get information from him instead of the media.
That's about what I remember hearing.
He said, this is not our first phone call with President Biden. I would like to thank him. He is not just interested in Ukrainian developments, but he knows lots of details. Oh, this popped up. Sorry.
Yeah, so those are two extremely conflicting stories.
Yeah.
That, hey, no, this has basically been going on for a long time. That's what we've always been prepared, because they've been training, I saw a cool little thing where they're civilians will go out on the weekends and train.
Yeah.
They're almost like almost kind of like a National Guard type deal, but they just do it voluntarily. 50-year-olds, they're entire, because they're popular. I wonder what their population is. I mean, it can't be that high. I wonder what that's like now. I wonder. Do you still see Glenn?
I asked him about that.
Yeah, has he had anything to say about the whole?
He hasn't been following it close, but he goes, dude, this stuff's been going on for years. And he goes, before there'd be a war, because they want access to the port. They don't have water access. And so he said that's the big thing, that Russia needs access to the water.
Oh, yeah.
And he said that before there would ever be a war or anything, he said dude, Ukraine would probably just carve out a piece and just give it to them. Like,
Right.
they don't want to go back to what things were before. And he goes, yeah. So he's like, I don't know a whole lot, but he goes, this is not anything new.
It's just the one thing that we can find that the media that can find that we haven't discussed yet for people to throw out there and get them all worked up about it.
Almost sounds like misinformation, Fred.
Yeah, like that's why when you really consider that, like, what are the odds of that happening? Because I was like, man, like for a second there, I was like, this is not good. Like, we really think they could like attack any day, and we're gonna like, I guess there's two things there. If another country's gonna attack another country, it's in one hand you're like, well, whatever, it's not our problem. But on the other hand, it's like, well, we're the United States and we get in everybody's shit, so it's probably going to be our problem. And then when they say, yeah, if Ukraine gets attacked, well, they never really ever say anything. It's we'll have to do what we have to do. Well, what exactly? What does that even mean?
What does that mean?
Yeah. So it was like, oh man, this could be bad. And then all of a sudden you hear the president of that country going, yeah, it's this same old, like, not concerned. Stop the fear mongering. It's like, what? Wait a minute. Or is it just pissed because their dealings that they had behind
probably
some things going on?
It's 43,324,585 people in Ukraine.
So 43 million.
The median age is 41.
Yeah. So like, what? That's what, 8 times less than what we have, 9 times whatever it is. Like, I don't know. It's funny when you see something like that come out and it's like, well, where are all the news channels like talking about that? Like, I just none of it all. Just you try to put it together, it just doesn't make sense. There's something.
What's our population? We're like 350 million.
335.
335
ish. Okay. I think was the last. I think that's the. And I think what was it? They said the birth rates around. I mean, United States and around the world are like severely declining.
Well, I mean, we talked to C about that a little bit, and things slowing down. My cousin said the same thing. But yeah, I didn't know about the rest of the world if that was.
Yeah, I've heard that's like it's a trend that like, and that's I've even seen Elon every once in a while like mention like because he's been like. He said, what was it? He said the greatest risk to humanity is the declining population, the birth rate. Because some of those people want like us to have like billions of people in the United States. I can't remember what his name was. He had this idea that he basically said like we are severely underpopulated in the United States.
Why? Like, what was the
I think he said if we want to compete with China, if we want to continue to be a world power and to continue to like live high on the hog, we are severely underpopulated because we just don't have we don't have the production numbers to be a global leader in economy. Because it's one thing to have like a military, but as soon as you start being the global leader in economy, eventually you're going to have a lot more money, which eventually leads to guns as far as governments go.
So we have 332 million.
Okay.
We have one birth every 9 seconds, one death every 11 seconds, one international migrant net every 130 seconds. So the net gain of one person is every 40 seconds.
And when was that data from?
January 30th, 2022.
I wonder how accurate that is. That's pretty interesting to be that close. Are they?
You should see this world population clock. It just keeps going up every second. One more person comes.
Yeah, but I wonder
where are they taking out the people that are dying?
I mean, they're just more people are being born
than dying.
Yeah.
Should have come up with a more virulent COVID.
Yeah. They did. It's called long-term vaccines. When they flip that 5G on, bro.
Oh, that misinformation, Fred.
And then some people are going to call it the rapture because bodies are just going to drop.
It's a good White Buffalo song.
That would be wild, though, huh? if that whole QAnon 5G thing and lizard aliens things was true, and then all they can send a
Boom.
signal out over the 5G networks, and it messes with your vaccine, whatever thing.
That was
Boom.
what was the second Kingsman where they did that?
I haven't heard that.
People got implants and it sent out a frequency and it like blew their head up or something.
Oh geez. Or what if?
No, maybe it was the first Kingsman. It was one of them.
What if it's a transmission like receiver for the soul of the ancient lizard aliens that are too far away to travel here physically, and they take over the bodies of the vaccinated?
I think my seat needs to be replaced by Chad, not me. I'm the wrong human being for this conversation.
That would be wild.
I saw I saw a comment about one of the Kardashians. They thought she was a lizard person from her fingers. With these long fingers. Crazy fingernails.
Speaking of fingers, I saw the Scott. Totally drew a blank. Told you I'm a little fuzzy. Bearded Butchers, Scott.
Oh, okay.
Forgot their last name.
Perkins?
Perkins, thank you. Yes. Sorry, struggling
It's
a
all
little.
good.
Yeah. I saw they just had a newborn.
Oh.
And he's sitting there holding this newborn. It's
Yeah.
like, just look at those, like Craig said, look at those fucking fingers.
Oh, yeah.
Like, you ripping meat and hide and stuff for that long. It's like his fingers they're literally like, both of them, they're like sauce. They're just as wide as they are long. Like,
Yeah. Seth is the one that has even meatier hands,
they
isn't
are.
he?
Well, I think Seth's hands are a little shorter. So
Oh, okay.
really, like his fingers are a little shorter.
Got you.
Did I say fingers or hands?
Fingers.
Short hands? Okay.
Fingers.
Yeah. But yeah, they're both just like, they're like their elbows down. They're like Popeye. You know?
God, just ripping meat all the time.
Yeah. Yeah. I was like, well, that's cool. They had another kiddo, and I was like, geez, look at those fingers.
Congrats to their family.
Yeah. I saw they went, did you see the pictures? They
Elk
went
hunting?
elk hunting. Oh, dude.
I saw a little bit. I didn't watch the videos or anything like that. But
Seth,
I saw
I think, was it Seth that shot the, it looked like his was
that
massive.
monster.
Massive.
That'd be a blast.
That would be cool. It'd be really neat. I went rucking last weekend right before I got the vids, and there was a new guy that had gone out with us. it was really bad. He had like work boots on, but they were like inside like concrete like work boots, like, and I don't. They're almost like they must have missed like his cowboy boots because he like we just gotten snow. It was snowing that morning, and he was everywhere until Dusty.
To give him some
He
spikes.
gave him
or
some
something.
spikes.
Yeah.
And it was like, but he, I don't remember where I was going with that story. There was a point to it. I don't remember what it was though. I don't. Oh, I remember bringing it. He's going to Alaska
Okay.
to do a hunt, to do mountain goat hunting in
I
Alaska or
got
something
you.
like that.
Yeah.
So he was like, well, he was talking to Dusty about it, and he's like, well, yeah, you better get at it. You better start, training for it because
Yeah.
you're going to pack in and out and meet and hiking
yeah.
through all those. So he came out with this, and it was like, well, I think we found the very first thing you need to buy for your trip: new boots, bro.
Yeah.
But it was,
Yeah, those are
that'd be,
definitely important.
yeah, it'd be super neat to be those guys that like go mountain goat hunting. Have you ever seen like those things? Obviously not in the wild.
Mountain
but
goat. I have seen the mountain goat in the wild in
like on
Colorado
the
before.
cliff.
On the side of a
Oh,
mountain.
that's wild.
It was pretty cool.
See how they climb those like just little.
Oh, dude, they can just stand on anything. They've got those little devil hooves,
Yeah,
those cloven hooves.
yeah, it's wild. Old devil. I had a discussion the other day it was a while ago, with my daughter. She was singing, "The Devil Wears a Suit and Tie." Coulter Wall.
Yeah.
And I was like, do you know what that song means? And she was like, I'm like, we're going to listen to the song and we're going to break down the lyrics, like each phrase.
I think we talked about that on one of the podcasts.
Did we?
Actually. Yeah.
It was interesting to like, when you start breaking down, like, all right, what is this person actually saying?
Mhm.
Sometimes you don't know, but like listening to the story, I was like, like music is it's art. It's a story. It's a book and a picture all put together, and it just happens to get forced through your ears, instead of your eyeballs or whatever. It's like neat to follow those and and it was right after that. I think another, what was it? It might have been a Buffalo song came on. He was talking about the devil. And then like, it's like, man, like, the guy gets a lot of airtime.
That devil.
Gets a lot of airtime.
Yeah, I was just trying to think of a world without music.
It would be robotic. It'd be weird.
Yeah, it would be weird.
Well, it's
feel
like, go ahead.
No, I just was going to say, I feel like music's been around for forever.
Ever. Well, even monkeys like to play it. Doing some crazy stuff. Did you ever watch that show or that movie that Dan mentioned to us?
I didn't get a chance yet.
What was it? This World Won't Break. It's a good one. You'd like it. It's pretty
interesting.
It's a slow moving one, kind
Okay.
of. It's not action packed or anything like that. It's a very like simply made movie, but like if you listen to it's really the gem in it was the conversations. It's this guy that basically he's a guitar player and likes kind of that southern kind of Americana, has some like not necessarily like a little bit of blues kind of like feelings, whatever, but he's from Texas and just this guy that plays music, and he's ends up being older, and that's just not, he doesn't find himself in a good spot in life, lives in this tiny little town and never like has left to like try to like play his music and get his music out to people.
Yeah.
And the conversations that guy has throughout the movie with people is just like, it's one of those movies that's it's very unassuming. You start and you're like, oh, okay, like I'll watch this because there's nothing else to do, or I'll have it on the background.
What's it called again, you said?
This World Won't Break.
This World Won't Break.
I think that's what it is. You look that up. And it should be a guy with a big, he's kind of reddish bearded, round face kind of guy.
Any like actors noteworthy, or was it all kind of?
No, I didn't recognize anybody.
Yeah.
But it had some really phenomenal conversations where I'd start catching what they're saying, and it was like, you want to pull it up so you can see it. I'd kind of catch what he starts talking about. Yeah, that's him. I start catching what he's talking about, and it'd be like, oh shit, like that's super deep, man. But it's pretty good. It's worth the watch. I think it's like an hour and 45 minutes or something like that. I watched it like over like a month in like 5-minute periods. But it's a pretty good one. It's different. You have to be ready to think. You have to be ready to kind of like think about it. But it was funny. There was a scene in the movie that as soon as it started, it reminded me of a buddy I had. Did you ever know John McCoy? He was a big guy. He was known in Worcester pretty well. He worked at a couple of the restaurants in Worcester and did him and another guy started a carpet cleaning business. That was,
I don't think so.
He was a character.
Yeah.
Super character. I knew him since high school. Super duper character. But like as soon as this guy like starts talking, I'm like, oh, and I guess maybe this is why it's like even more mind blowing. Maybe not mind blowing. That's a little excessive. He passed away a couple years ago in a car accident. But so that's why like it struck me. I was like, holy cow. And then the guy starts talking and he just starts rambling on like and going like and talking to this other guy. And I was like, I feel like I just got lectured by my dead friend. Like it was like the way he like, it was hilarious. Like he's funny, but he's like giving this guy a hard time. And I'm like, I just sat through a lecture like the guy looks like him, and I sent the clip to a couple people that knew him. And they're like, wow, like that like really embodies like who he was, and it's like that's funny. But it's those movies like that. You're like, I don't know, makes you think about some things.
Yeah,
that's
interesting, man. How like art strikes people in such like intimately different ways.
Yeah. I remember at one point during one of this, he was talking to a buddy and they were like fishing or something like that. And the guy said something about, he was like out of nowhere. There's a different guy. He's like, you know what really trips me out, man? Birds. It's like, you're like, what? Like, look at this goofy fuck. He's like, man, they just walking along, to their destination until they realize that they get there a lot faster flying. So they just do. Or something. It was something along the lines. It was like wouldn't that be wild? Just walking through life and you know
all
what?
of a
This is going to
sudden.
take me a little too long to
Yeah.
walk there. So I'm just going to fly there. Like, he went on this like 5-minute like ramble speech, but like he gets done. It's like, oh, wow, that's really introspective and neat. Those are the ones that are the little gems that are fun to.
Sure.
Fun to
I'll have to
find.
check it out. It does sound interesting.
He plays some music and
Was the music pretty good?
yeah, it wasn't bad. Like he like at one point you can tell like it was funny because like I'm watching it and like at one point he's playing a song with his guitar. I'm like, man, that guitar sounds terrible. And then you kind of spoiler alert, you realize that like he's just broke as shit and he's going back to like this guitar store and he's playing his guitar that's for sale.
Oh, okay.
And like it's this nice guitar. And then he goes back to like it's just one little scene that like I bet a lot of people that would watch it would completely miss it. But like you think about a musician that's so broke and that's all that like that's all he does. And he has to like sell his nice guitar to like try to make some money. But he's like the store owner still allow him to go in every day.
Yeah.
And play his guitar. And then he hangs it up back in the display window and walks away. And it's like, and it was only like I don't know, maybe a 3-minute scene. Didn't really say anything. It was just like, whew. Like, I can only imagine that. Like, cause we're kind of musicians, compared to some, like, I can't imagine that. Like, that'd be like heartbreaking
Yeah.
to be able to like, as a diehard musician. It's sad, but it was a good movie. It was the ending was shit. So
Oh, really?
spoiler alert.
I got
Maybe
you.
not shit, but it wasn't.
Not the ending you wanted.
It was not the ending I wanted or expected. So sometimes
Gotcha.
that's a good thing.
Yeah. I mean, was it real life though?
It was too real life.
Yeah, that's all I was gonna say. It sounds like
It
it's
was-
real life,
yeah,
which
it
is
was-
why you didn't enjoy it.
It
maybe.
was too real life.
Mhm.
Yeah, that's probably what it was, and that I didn't realize it until just now. It's too real life.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I don't feel like there's a ton of movies out there, and people get discouraged with those movies because
Yeah.
you watch movies because they're not real life.
Yeah.
You're like, if I wanted to tune into that shit, I'd just look in the mirror.
Yeah. I enjoy like those are the ones that always stick with me the most, though. They're like, it's like wow, like it peels some veneer back.
That's why I read McCarthy.
Yeah. So the other day, it was funny. I was driving and I was listening to something, trying to make sure like the levels on the podcast were right. And then the end of the podcast, like it was on Spotify. Go Spotify. I'm a believer now, officially. But it was at the end and it ended, and then it went on to our very first one.
Okay.
So it's technically number 4 is the first one that's on there. And it was the very first time you introduced me to Woodinville. And something else happened. That's why I brought this story up. But we talked about like McCarthy. We talked about
Yeah.
the Blood Meridian.
Blood
That's why I
Meridian,
brought
yeah.
that. Yeah. And it was like, holy cow. That's been how many? It's like that's the first time that I was introduced to. Now I have
Lots of
more.
Woodinvilles.
There's a box of them in the closet.
More Woodinvilles than I have. That's
more,
for sure.
more than I'm good. I told you I was like, stop.
Yeah.
Like I'm good for now.
That's hilarious.
Yeah. But
I was gonna tell you actually. I don't think it happened yet, and I'd be disappointed if it did. But I think Ron Rash was actually going to speak to Dan's class. Ron Rash is another one of my favorite authors. He's still
I'm not familiar with him.
he's still around. Southern Gothic, some fantastic stories, and you're more than welcome to read any of them that I have. But yeah, he's a hell of an author, and he's going to speak in his class. And so he was like, "Hey, if you want, man, I'll give you the Zoom login, and you can tune in and listen to Rash and ask him some questions if you want." And I'm like, "Hell yeah,
Yeah,
that sounds fantastic,
That's
man.
super awesome.
I'd love to." So
Old Dan. We need to get him back on or see him sometime.
yeah, he's one of the best characters I know. That's for sure.
He's got his hands full too, I'm sure. Yeah.
Man, did he ever tell that story about like the first thing he ever got published or when he got on the radar of writing?
Not on the show. I don't know if I've ever even heard him talk
Man,
about it.
we need to hear that. Like he just completely cold submitted a short story to, I can't think of which author it was. I mean, it's a like a known author, like a published author who teaches, and I think the guy thought he was just jonesing him. Like he thought he was just bullshitting him. And he contacted him and he was like, I think he was like, "Did you really you really wrote this?" And he was like, "Yeah." And he's like, "You don't have a like master's in fine arts. You don't have anything published. Like you legit just wrote this." And Dan was like, "Yeah." And then I think he kind of mentored him a little bit. Golly, I can't think of the guy's name.
That'd be super cool. Yeah. We didn't have him on, man. I messaged him a while ago. I'd love to have him. I'd love to have him on in person. I don't know how we'd ever manage that. He's got his hands full down there, but
yeah, I mean, we'd almost probably have to go down there
Yeah.
and figure it out. So, I mean, I'd fly him back up here.
I'd love to. I'd love to hang out with him and have a conversation with him again.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like if there's a way to get him up here. If people that are far more famous than Dan can travel and do their things, Dan can make his way up here.
We'll figure out a way to make it happen.
If I need to get him a babysitter and pay for his plane ticket,
Yeah, I told him, I was like, well, you could come stay with me, but we don't have enough room for you. Sorry, man. Your family's getting big real quick. Yeah, I can't remember if I've ever mentioned it before, but I know after he was on, and then somebody went out and multiple people did, but one person reached out to me that they went and got his book.
yeah,
And then, because maybe it's because they heard me talk, they heard me mention it,
yeah,
and then went back and listened to the episode, and then got his book and then read it. And that same story that I said that, and his book is Floods and Fires, Dan Leach. It's tiny little, not tiny, well, it's small little, like small book of stories. Phenomenal. Talked about it plenty of times. But they got to that story that I was talking about, that I was like, the whole time I was like, man, like, where is this going? And then like the last like 3 sentences, it's like, oh, fuck me running. Like, what? Why did you do this to me?
yeah. He's a hell of an author.
Yeah.
man.
They messaged me and they're like, how in the fuck could he end this story like this? I'm like,
yeah.
that's what he does. It's awesome. Like, but yeah, that's the exact story I was talking about. Yeah, it's pretty cool. Like, because sometimes I'm thinking like, all right, well, maybe I'm just like kind of fanboying because, you know, he's a friend and I want to support him, and, you know, and I'm so like your friends and family and the, you know, your loved ones around you, kind of like sometimes you see them through a little bit of rose colored glasses, and then it was like to see somebody else like have that exact same like thought of, what the hell is this guy doing to my brain right now? It was like, cool.
If anything, man, I think I'm harder on my friends. Like because I want them to be very, very good at what they do. And I know that they want to be challenged.
Yeah, for sure. Like you want to, you know, give, you know, constructional criticism and all those things, but there's still that like tint of they get a little bit, they still get a little bit more grace. They get, you know what I mean? Because it's like, all right, I know what you're capable of. I know like who you are. So like you get a little more room, but I would agree. I think you need to be more honest with the friendlies, because that's the whole point. That old soul wasn't too bad. It was better as it sat, but it was definitely, I'm not a huge rye fan, I think. That's what
Oh,
it
I
is.
mean, I love some ryes, but I wouldn't buy that again.
I don't know. Maybe I just need to find some different ryes.
Will it?
Yeah. Old Josh. He's stuck on his Willets. He loves them.
He is a fanboy, that's for sure.
Hey, you like what you like. I can't talk much, but about being a fan of certain brands. How you feeling over there?
You gonna make it, Cass?
I'm slowly dwindling.
Yeah. She got sick before I did. But then I started healing up a little bit faster than she did, I think. It's just it's like the fatigue just kind of like sticks around a little bit after a while.
Oh, wow.
Sound good?
Not at first. At first, I was like, ooh, it was like super just kind of bland, corn heavy. But then on the back end, you get like almost like a muted cherry baking spice.
Cherry baking spice?
Yeah, like a cherry with baking spice.
Mm.
That is a very interesting back end right there.
He must work out.
I work out.
When I was at that ruck last weekend, I had a picture and just because it was like snowing and it had like 8 inches of snow on the ground. We were out in the middle of the park, and I took a picture and sent it to her, and I sent it to Dusty because he was in it. He was like, "Man," it was him. "Look at the ass on that. He must work out." I'm like, Jesus Christ! Like, trying to take a nice scenic photo here. All you gotta do is, his birthday was the other day, and he just got a. I don't know if he talked about it. I'm not gonna say anything.
I know what he got. We talked.
But I was like, I hope everything is well, moving forward.
It was not enjoyable. He said, if you don't have to, don't.
Yeah, I don't know.
That, I think, is going to get considerably better in the next couple of weeks. That has a very, very interesting kind of back-end palette there.
I might have to try a dash of it.
Please do.
I'm severely limiting myself, but I'll try a dash of it.
So you're limiting yourself?
Yeah.
Because of your COVID?
I mean, I don't have COVID anymore, I don't think. I think.
What are you limiting yourself for?
Just because I'm still having the lingering effects.
Oh, okay.
Like, just like the cleaning out, like all that.
Yeah. So you don't want to get more congested or.
Yeah, I mean, that's probably not advised to get super hammered after. Not that I get super hammered, but maybe it'll help. Isn't that what they used to do back in the old day?
Oh yeah.
A little bit of whiskey, a little bit of morphine. A little bit of whatever it is. Didn't you send something the other day?
I did. I was just going to pull it up.
Yeah, pull it up.
I did. I was just going to pull it up.
I feel like I just saw some kind of old medical thing.
It was the one night cough syrup trademark. It was alcohol less than 1%. I don't know if that's 4.5 or 4.25. It just says M. I don't know what M.
I wonder what M would mean.
Means, if that's like milliliters. And then cannabis indica FE 4.5 M as well. So that obviously would not be
measure.
Yeah, that's
maybe
probably
it's just
what
like
it
a
is.
measure, whatever measure means.
Then
back then.
chloroform. Does that say 2 1/5 measures? And then it says Morpheus sulfate, and then it says 1/8 GR. And my sister said, she said 125 milligrams. She said 1/8 gram. I said, Jesus, see, I'm pretty sure that's grains.
Great.
Which is closer to like 8 to 12 milligrams. She's like, nope, definitely a gram.
What's Morpheus sulfonate?
It's just morphine sulfate.
What is that? Oh, morphine. Oh, morphine.
Yeah, just morphine.
Oh, I gotcha.
It's just morphine. So
just morphine.
Interesting
chloroform
is in there.
Well, I hope you sleep.
Chloroform.
I just said something the other day about. I don't remember what it was. Well, I don't remember what it was, but my kid was saying something. And I was being a dad as usual, and I was like, "The alligators are so ornery because they got all them teeth and no toothbrush." Good. Classic movie.
Very classic. Very classic.
Oh, man.
Anything else in the past couple of days or week we've talked about that you wanted to touch on?
There was something. I don't remember what it was, though. It was something I was going to bring up.
My boss called me on Wednesday, Tone.
This is good. I'm going to try this while she tells you this.
So my last day of work was supposed to be Thursday.
Yeah.
But then I got the COVID, right? So
Yeah.
I'm like, oh, shit. My last day of work was Friday. I didn't even realize it. So my boss calls me on Wednesday and says, did you submit a second exemption? And I said, no. And she goes, have you heard from them since they sent you the denial email? And I said, no. She said, well, you're listed under the approved list. She said, but I got an email from you from them that also said you were denied. And I'm like, are you fucking kidding me?
So which one is it?
So she said, well, have you got any emails? And I said, no, I've been off. Like, I'm out with COVID.
Yeah.
Which she knows. So she calls me back like 2 hours later and she said, so I talked to HR and they changed it from denied to approved. Never emailed her, never called her, just switched it.
How is that even possible?
Well, we fixed the glitch. Oh, so you fired him? No, we just fixed the glitch. He won't receive a paycheck anymore. Like the office mate kind of like, we just changed it. Like what?
So I told her that I would let her know if I would be returning.
That doesn't even make sense. I think I'd want some sort of an explanation as to how something like that is even possible.
Good luck getting one.
So I know a lot of people had submitted when theirs was denied.
Yeah,
they'd
a
submitted
secondary.
a second.
And
I did not.
so those secondary ones that got submitted, did a lot of those people get approved then?
Multiple were approved.
Why? That
don't
makes
know.
no sense
None
whatsoever.
at all.
Because they're short staffed.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. They
They're
ran
like,
the numbers
"Oh."
and they were like, "Oh shit!"
We're
Yeah.
fucked. Yeah. So. Yeah. Talk
That's-
about a week.
That is a roller coaster.
Uh-huh.
At least the last time they said that they were going to fire you and decided not to, they at least gave like a week's notice.
There was a 4-day notice.
That's basically business week.
They paused it. Yeah. So I don't really know.
God bless CCF.
hmm
Yeah.
So my mother-in-law said though that she heard, 'cause she also works at a hospital. She heard that they were required to go back through every exemption and relook at them. Now, I haven't heard that. And I could have had an email sent to my work, with an explanation. But it's doubtful. They didn't give me an explanation as to why it was denied. So
Right.
I don't expect an explanation as
Why
to
was approved?
when or how they switched it.
I'm going to say it was, holy shit, folks. We are already understaffed and we're going to fire all these people. Let's not. Like,
Yeah. So I can't return back to work until Thursday
Yeah,
because I'm unvaxxed, so I have to be 10 days off instead of the 5.
yeah.
So
Because those vaccines really helping people with the Omicron so
Mhm.
much.
for sure.
mhm. Yeah.
Yeah, so I have a couple of days.
Were you getting Greg on the show or no?
She's
Greg
like,
won't come on
no.
the show?
I don't he can come on and you can go somewhere else. You don't have to be here for it.
I mean, I'd be here for it. I'm just not going to ask him to come on.
Oh,
I
I
just.
Oh, I'm just
You should
curious.
ask
I
yeah.
think you should reach out.
No,
to
I mean,
him.
I've like always. I mean, I don't know him. It's just every person I talk to was always like, he's super smart. He's a super good dude. He does like everything for like bends over backwards for his patients.
He does. I really do
And
like Greg.
I honestly would just be curious as to kind of what he was saying in regards to what you were saying, that like, why won't she just get the vaccine? And I think my thing would be like, why do you think she needs the vaccine? So number one, she's got 2 autoimmune disorders. We don't 100% know what the vaccine's going to do. We've seen these lipid nanoparticles traveling to various spots, including the ovaries, the bone marrow, and the lymphatic system. And now we're watching for signals. And so if based on risk stratification, you're very low, and you take your supplements to try and prevent that, you're very healthy, you're not obese, these things, I guess from a risk versus benefit standpoint, what benefit would it have to get something that is not preventing you from getting it, not preventing you from spreading it, at a, possibly minimizing the severity of it, which is questionable for people that are healthy.
Well, it prevents serious illness and hospitalizations and death, Tony.
It's a very vague definition of what it does.
It prevents serious illness and death most of the time, Tony. That's what the
Still
vaccines
very,
do.
very vague.
Now, I will
No,
say
don't
that
hit me with your
he-
misinformation.
I was actually going to say the same thing about you.
I will say he did say that he didn't think that it should be required for people who do have natural immunity, which I didn't have at the time because
Yeah,
I
but you
just
also
now-
no, you can't say that because you don't know.
Well, that's true.
Yeah, I mean, you did
Because
do an
we've
antibody
never
test.
done an antibody test. I've said that for the longest time. I'd love doing an antibody test and see if I've had it, whatever it is anymore.
Yeah.
Because there's so many different
No, I honestly genuinely care. Like maybe he has a point that I'm not seeing,
Yeah.
and
and
he could definitely be like change my mind. And I go, okay, well maybe this information. There was some sort of, it's not going to be longitudinal, but a study that showed autoimmune, patients that had autoimmune, and they responded poorly to COVID, but they responded better if they had the vaccine, and there were less hospitalization / mortality. I don't know. Maybe that study's out there. I genuinely don't. I'm just
yeah,
curious based on the things that I do know, and I followed this pretty closely.
Yeah, more than me. because I don't understand it. That's saying, once again, as a non-medical professional whatsoever, I follow the stories around it and hear you talk about it and other people. But I have a hard time with thinking the average medical doctor knows what's going on, because I know for a fact, at least in some places, the average RN, PA, medical doctor, whatever, in family practice is not impressive in treating people, period, in their knowledge base. But beyond that, like we've seen, obviously this is anecdotal, but it's our anecdotal evidence of like talking to people and their response being just completely so far off the wall what you would expect in a medical sense. It's like we've discussed before, like her type 1 diabetes, like working with coworkers for 10 plus years, and they still, like, nurses still have zero fucking clue on what diabetes is. Nurses, they're treating people with these conditions and they don't even have any clue what they are. So like, it's really hard to like have faith in the medical experts when, like, we've discussed it before too. Like, there's medical experts, they're experts at certain things, and like there's so many different levels, and like, so just trust, like, and having a family doctor say, well, got to take it because that's the science or whatever it is. Like, well, come on. Like, do you know, like, all of the factors? Like, we've, maybe this is what it is. We've been so quick to throw a general blanket on to the entire population of like, one thing is what's good for the goose is good for the gander across the board. We even talked about with Sierra, like, patients are individual patients, and each one can have
unique
one thing. They could be the same in every other regard, but have one thing that completely sets their treatment apart in any type of disease or, health circumstance. One thing can completely change a person's treatment protocol because of a bajillion factors. And then it's just like, all you hear is, everybody needs this. What? Like, it just doesn't like make.
I guess I don't know how a novel vaccine should just be blanketly applied to a novel disease.
Right. Yeah.
And like I've said this before, I'm not against vaccines. I think
Right.
vaccines are very, very helpful.
Yeah, I have multiple family members and friends. It's like, I would encourage them to get it.
And I have done the same for patients that fit the bill for that risk stratification where they had comorbidities and they were a certain age.
Yeah.
Other people, like I said, the risk versus benefit, for me, it's just not there.
Mm-hmm.
And so I never really advise someone to get it or don't get it. I try and just provide them with the facts.
Right.
And say, you need to make the decision that it's right for you. Like, if you think it's right for you, then you need to get it. If you don't need to get it.
Personal autonomy, Tony, and responsibility is that.
That's what I'm saying, though.
You take your meritocracy and shove it.
I will not.
Right in front of everybody's faces, because it's what they deserve.
I would carry that meritocracy on my back.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know.
Like a well-worn scar.
Yeah, I don't know. But here we are. We're surviving. Going for it. I don't know. Do you think have you come to the dark side anymore and think there's something, or not, maybe not come, because I don't even think I'm there. Have you gone to the dark side anymore and think there's just no turning back, and I don't know. I see hopes. I'm more hopeful than I've been in the last couple of years. I said it earlier last year or later last year that I had hope.
Well, I think that was the first episode into the new year.
Maybe that's what it was.
Because
Yeah.
I said predictions, and you said I'm hopeful, and I said, well, that's good compared to the last 2 years.
Yeah.
It was just shit sandwiches and dumpster fires.
Yeah.
So
I got tired of being right, so I'm gonna start being hopeful, and maybe I can be happy about being right.
Yeah, I mean, I would say the longer and longer these things go on, like, people have to understand that there has to be some level of returning to normalcy. If there's not, then so many things suffer.
Yeah.
you know.
Break.
Yeah. I mean, people's mental health suffers. Yeah, I mean, everything. Their like physiologic health suffers. Like all kinds of things just go downhill if
The human race suffers.
if we just constantly kind of live in fear, and you can't do the things that you previously did that were constructive, and you can't be around other human beings to have that bond.
Yeah, and just living. Being, I don't know, forcing yourself into a new constrictive world is just, I don't want to go backwards. I want to go forward.
Yeah, that's
You know?
that's the Dave quote, man. My buddy that died. I'm not gonna tiptoe through the tulips to safely arrive at death.
Mm.
And it's, there's if this was the plague or something, like, it doesn't mean we should be going out and about, but it's not the plague.
Right.
I mean, we have the percentages, it's low, you have to continue to live. What's going to do more damage being around other people if you're at a low risk, or staying cooped up, getting anxiety, getting depression,
It's that
turning to, substance abuse.
the risk factor. I get it. Everybody's aversion to risk is different, as it should be.
Yeah.
And that's as it should be. You're right. But at some point, you have to sit down and go, what type of, risk factor am I willing to live with? Because if it's zero,
that's not limit. You can't live.
Yeah, I don't know what to tell you. Like, you might as well just end it now.
Yeah.
Like, because there isn't. Like, there's always going to be risk.
There is.
Drive a car, you do this, you do whatever.
Literally said that the other day to a patient.
There's always going to be a risk for everything. And I think once you realize that there's going to be a risk if you drink too much water, it'll kill you.
You could choke on a piece of food, for God's sake. Like,
Right.
how nuanced are we going to get with this?
Right. It's, January, you'd step outside, slip on some ice, crack the back of your head off of the back of a concrete step, gone. Like, that happens all the time. Obviously not that millions of people a year, but it happens.
Yeah.
You could be the one. The second you start thinking that it won't happen to you, that's usually when it does. Like, what are you going to do?
Live.
Live or wait to die? Get busy living. Right? Get busy dying.
Got anything, Cass? Are you faded?
Happy COVID. Got it.
Full faded. You guys got the brain fog going on?
I'm not too bad, but yeah, it's, you know what? We got the
fluvoxamine.
No, it's really, now it's just like the recovery process. It's just,
I don't know. The first 3 or 4 days, my blood sugars were fine, but the last
that's been a huge
3
impact.
have been awful. They just have been so high.
Really?
Yeah. So I feel like that's not helping.
It's been a massive impact on you.
Yeah.
Well, it's hard too, because not many people know it, but like, it's one of those things where when you have it in control, it's much easier to stay in control.
Sure.
But when it starts getting out of control, it's like in a sense, it's like pulling a trailer at 80 miles an hour down an icy highway. If you're moving straight and everything's fine, you got it. But the second, she starts to go
just a little
higher,
bit,
lower, higher, lower, and that everything just starts. It's that rubber band whipping effect that it's like, all right, like how do you steer this back in? And then all of a sudden, it's not just what she does. It's all of a sudden we hit this giant like snowdrift that was COVID or whatever, and it just throws everything for a loop. So it's sometimes that's life though. What's your risk factor? Get busy living or get busy dying.
Yeah.
Let's do it. I appreciate. Unless you got something else, Tone.
I think I'm good, man. Cass, you got anything? I was trying to think of any subjects that we talked about that you guys were wanting to touch on.
Yeah, there was something I was thinking about before we got here, but I don't remember. But I had it. It's official, kind of. I didn't want to waste a test on it. Basically, is the idea. But not that I ever want to make it sound like it's not dangerous for people. or, can't hurt, people or to discount the, the people it's taken by any means. But it's that realizing what the individual, risk factor is. It's like, I'm not going to go spewing my face all over. That's why I canceled it. Or the second I knew, we were 6 days out, and I was like, I got to cancel it just in case. And if I feel better, then we could do this, because I don't know how many times you've had it. Probably you've been exposed to it consistently.
Yeah, just nonstop barrage.
Yeah, because you lost your smell and your taste at one point.
Yeah, for like 2 months.
Right. So I feel like if you got through that, and I feel good for a couple of days, you're probably safe from me.
I'm not worried about it. So,
but I did leave the decision up to you, because I'm considerate like that.
You didn't decide for me?
I know. And I don't think so. Tony, I think if there's one person that can say that nobody decides for them, that I feel confident.
Oh, Fred, whatever are you speaking of?
Thanks for coming and hanging out, man.
No problem, bud. Always a pleasure.
Thank you for joining us today. Remember, check out the website, chronic-curiosity.com, to join us at the forum, have some fun, interaction, pick you up a comfy t-shirt, or if you just want to support the show and donate, all that is on the website as well. Thank you. Until next time.
See you.